But right now, I think we are ready to kick off the first panel. And for that, I want to hand over the reins to our moderator. He's the Ecosystems Cooperation Manager at LMT's Innovation Development Division. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nikita Kazakevich. Welcome.
Thank you. And give a round of applause to our moderator, Ardis. Woo! Awesome. Thanks a lot. Disruption is not only an occasional wave that kind of reshakes and shakes up the existing industries. It is already a constant undercurrent that is reshaping our world, driven by silicon, code, and human ingenuity. In this session, we're going to explore how innovations in artificial intelligence, automation, telecommunications, and other cutting-edge technologies are not only changing the rules of the game, but expanding who gets to play. From startups to scientific organizations to a global tech leaders, the field is ready for new players, but only if the right bridges are being made. At the beginning, we're going to hear two keynote presentations that are going to reveal to us how these bridges are being built in practice, from a semiconductor leader cooperating and co-creating with startups to a scientific powerhouse enabling entrepreneurial access to frontier research. And those presentations are going to set up the stage for the discussion on exploration, how not only we can ensure the fruitful and mutually beneficial collaboration, but how can we jump into not only experimentation, but creating a lasting and scalable impact. Sounds like a plan. Alrighty, and obviously it is not going to be only me presenting and speaking with myself or my imaginary friends. I'll have a panel of professionals, experts from different backgrounds and different stakeholder responsibilities. And as the first one, I want to invite to the stage the member of the management board at Unilab, Andris Baumanis. Please, the round of applause for Andris. Any, yeah, you take any. I guess that one is gonna be alrighty. We've got the Director of Research and Development from Tilde, Raivis Kadiņš. Applauses, yes, yes. Thank you for being with us. Representing the Latvian part. From your left, is it? And our international partners, we got Lynn Kutzma. Yes, the applauses, the program lead from the CERN Venture Connect. And last but not least, we've got a strategic partner manager from Infineon Technologies, Andres Mühlberger. Yes, and Andreas is going to be the first one to present and tell us more about the Edge AI program from the Infineon Technologies. And not only that, and I've got the slides clicker here,
Thanks,
and you've got the 5 minutes on the clock.
I hope you can hear me well. Then good afternoon, and I hope you had a good lunch. Now it's my challenge to wake you up again while you relax and digest. So I would like to give you a short impression about Infineon and how we work together with startups and how we are doing our work overall. A quick word wrap at the beginning. Who is Infineon Technologies? Infineon Technologies is Europe's largest semiconductor company. We are leading globally in certain areas. We are in the automotive electronics leader, and we are supplying to automotive component chips to worldwide. We are leading in the area of power electronics as well, and we are also leading in the area of microcontrollers supplied to the international market. And that is the topic I would like to concentrate today on. Now, roughly 58,000 employees worldwide, still 25,000 people working in Europe. The development, a lot of development ongoing in Europe, and the headquarters based in Munich. I myself work in Austria, and I'm responsible for university corporations, research corporations, and also the network of startups that we team up with. Now, when we talk with startups, our slogan is we would like to drive innovation with the startups together. Because we heard it also from the opening statement of your president, where he said cooperation is the key, team coming together, joining together, that is the key how we can be successful. Now, what do we offer to startups? We offer to startups our role as business partnership. We are not investing, we are not a venture capital company, but we are teaming up with venture capital companies to exchange and to help the startups. We are not an incubator, we are not working as building the business cases, but we team up with tech accelerators or incubators like Bridgio, for example, in Lithuania, where they do the coaching and we are the business partners. Now, business partners, what does this mean? First of all, when startups come to us and say, hey, we want to work with your electronics, can we get access to your technology? Yes, it's my role to give them access to the technology and to give them the access so that they can go forward. We use our business network and we use our experts to support them. One of the possibilities how we team up with the startups then is to run a so-called startup challenge. In this challenge, we offer electronics to the startups and say, you want to use our electronics for your application. It's microcontrollers, sensors, it's edge AI. Then apply for the challenge and you can describe your application, tell us what you would like to build. We select the most interesting startups we will support. On the other hand, we will also do a kind of a business coaching with them and a pitch training. And then we will have a demo day 3 months later where you can show your demonstrator, your prototype. And this prototype you can present in front of investors, in front of VCs. And with these VCs, with these investors, then you also can exchange on the future, the financial future of your company. We use our latest microcontroller family, which is used in a wide range of applications. We offer a complete portfolio of hardware, software, and AI software to create AI models. You saw already the board that we are offering. I had it here in my hands, and if you have later on time, just pass by. And we offer a lot of different development environments that allow you then, according to your skills, to develop in the ecosystem that you are aware of. Is it C? Is it MicroPython? Is it Arduino? So there's a complete portfolio of tools that we can offer and where we can support you. Now, how can you attend or how can startups attend? Most important is until mid of June, there is still the registration time. So startups can apply, can describe their application, what they want to do, and submit their proposal. We will look into these proposals and we'll invite all the startups then on 25th of June to an online pitching event where you present your idea. There is a 5 minutes pitching Q&A session, and out of this, we will then select 10 startups that we support. They will be invited to Austria for a kickoff event beginning of July, and then work for a period of time, and finally also go to the demo day. Business coaching runs in parallel, and this business coaching is supported by a lot of partners, where we built here a team of partners to do the coaching, while on the other hand, we already have commitment from a lot of investment partners as well to show up at the demo day and enable here also discussions on financing. Thanks for that. The logo or the QR code for the registration is up there. If you have any questions, then just pass by afterwards. Thanks. And with that said, I think I will hand over.
Yeah, sure. The round of applause to Andreas. I got a question, if I may. Any kind of startups can apply? Are there any criteria that startups have to meet?
There is no very strict rule in terms of stage. We start from pre-seed, early seed stage up to Series A. The interest and the cool application, that is what counts. So if you have cool applications where you say the electronic fits best, that's then the right thing to apply.
Ready. Amazing. One more round of applause to Andreas. Thanks a lot. And now, as I promised 2 keynote presentations. And now, Lynn, please tell us more about how CERN is enabling deep tech startups via using the infrastructure, the data, everything what you got. Please tell us more.
Thanks a lot, Nikita. Thanks a lot for having me here. I think it's a super cool venue, so I'm very excited to be here. Why are we here? Why is CERN here? CERN has offers for startups, external startups, to use and leverage the technologies and the infrastructure that we have here. And I'm going to tell you a bit about what that means and how we do it. So you might be familiar with CERN. CERN is home of the largest machine, the largest experiment in the world, the Large Hadron Collider. It's actually in Geneva. You can see the Lake Geneva on that map. It's 100 meters underground, and it is a 27-kilometer long accelerator complex where we accelerate particles very close to the speed of light. They clash together, and we try to understand what happens with this collision. We have 4 large experiments where we identify what happened in those collisions. And this is a very much of a fundamental research domain and a fundamental research work. But we have a lot of technologies that we build ourselves in order to enable this research. And I wanted to give you a short overview over this, because I think it's not necessarily very known that we do a lot of technology on our own. One of the technologies that we have, or the technology domains as we name them, is our detector technology. What you can see on the picture is our Atlas detector, and you can see actually a person at the right scale on that. You see these devices are huge. They weigh as much as the Eiffel Tower, and they have over 100 million sensors that help to really detect the particles that are coming out of the collisions. Another technology domain that we have is our accelerators. So what you can see here is a video of a person going through the tunnel of the 27-kilometer big ring of accelerators. And I'm not going to bore you, we only have 5 minutes, but typically this video lasts for 47 minutes, actually. Yeah. So you can see the scale of how big this infrastructure is. The particles travel very close to the speed of light, and it's much colder than on any other place here on this planet, because we need to cool down the system so they work most efficiently. And all of this leads to a lot of data that we're generating. We have more than 600 million collisions every second, which leads to 1 petabyte of data every second that we're generating. And we cannot store all of this data. We need to do something with it. So we have machine learning and AI algorithms that help us to, in an instant, understand what kind of data we want to keep and what data we want to throw out. And all of this data is analyzed by 170 sites in over 42 countries. So it's a big collaborative effort. You see, there is a lot of knowledge and extreme situations at CERN that we also want to give to our industry and our industrial partners, and particularly startups. This is why 2 years ago we started the CERN Venture Connect program, which is a startup program that gives startups access to our unique and cutting-edge technologies. It gives startups access to a partner network where they can find funding, lab space, legal support, accelerators and incubators that can help the startups to succeed. And all this with standardized agreements, because typically with large organizations like CERN, you have a long negotiation times and it's very difficult to start a collaboration. But with this program, we try to optimize for time and see how we can support startups as fast as possible. With all of these services, we can offer the CERN technology. We can offer ecosystem support, funding opportunities. We have around 25 venture capitalists that are pledging to support our startups. We have a big talent pool. We are partnering up with the CERN alumni team, which has, of course, a lot of technical experts and technical talent that startups can use and access. And we do also workshops. We are right now starting an educational program at CERN, so we can also encourage the scientists at CERN to work outside with CERN technology. You can see our partner network here. There are a few common names on the slide. As you can see, most of the startup support is venture capitalists that are really pledging us to help the startups. We have legal advisors, accelerators, incubators, all of those partners that we try to build a very dynamic platform and collaboration and network together. I give you 2 examples. because it's not very tangible necessarily. We are working with one startup, which is called Fibersight. They're actually an alumni of CERN that are using fiber optic sensors that were developed at CERN for the radiation-hard environment. And he's using, or the founder is using this technology for identifying water leaks, for soil monitoring, concrete curing, and structural analysis. And the other example is Infocal. Infocal is using precision alignment lasers in order to mark products in consumer goods. So what you can see here in the video is a real speed marking of the bottle cap that you can see on the top, which you cannot do with a normal ink printer. So you can really increase the throughput of a manufacturing belt. That's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to learn more, there is the QR code. We have a website. Or feel free to reach out to me, have a coffee, say hi to me after the presentation. Thank you.
Amazing. Round of applause to Lynn. I got a question, not related to the presentation actually, but is the first collider going to be built?
Oh, it's a good question.
Yeah.
A politically intense question.
Right.
So right now, we are still working with the Large Hadron Collider. We are currently upgrading it to the High Lumi Large Hadron Collider, so we can have more collisions within the same time. And so we are right now in this phase preparing that so we can develop this further. And then afterwards, we're looking into multiple options of what kind of accelerators we can build. And one of them is the Future Circular Collider, which is, I think, more commonly known in media.
Yeah, amazing. Hopefully, it's going to be implemented. And thanks again. Round of applause to Lynn. So we heard... we went through two inspiring and informative presentations in terms of different kind of programs and services, and the overall feeling is that you want startups to come. You have the means and you have the motivation as well to integrate startups within your ecosystem and support them. But the question, since you both talked already, goes to that side of the. Yeah. Hello. No, not asleep. Andres, I got a question. I mean, you saw and you heard the presentations, and it seems easy. It seems that the CERN and Infineon and probably all the other big corporations and organizations are willing so much to get the startups in. Is this the reality for Unilab as well? Is it easy to get your deep tech startups within the accelerator to collaborate with? Whether it's a big science or any other large corporation. Please tell us more.
Yeah, thanks. Well, actually, this is a very relevant point because, I mean, from the super early stage innovators, the question is what is the best method how to push their innovations to the market and be able to commercialize early on. And we've seen several avenues that seem to be working in that sense. And one of those that, for example, we use in our accelerator program is we have set up a pool of business development advisors that basically come from the industry directly, or they have been previously in the industry, C-level executives, they have been private investors, this sort of profile, because the main challenge is basically to open the door to the industry, and this is the challenge, and you need somebody from the other side of the table, and so
from the dark side.
Yeah, and so I think in that sense this system has worked. Well, we piloted the first program last year. There was a pool of around 20 business development advisors from across the board, and I mean, even over the relatively short period of time, which was around 6-month program, still they were able, by like attaching an appropriate business development advisor to the team, they were able to open the doors to, I don't know, for example, the construction industry, or for other industries, or like reaching out to contacts in other markets as well. So this is, I mean, one of the tools that seem to be working. Another method, but the question is whether it will work there. I mean, there are markets that have a super high entry barrier, for example, defense, and I think the setup, and I believe most of us know, there is NATO Diana created, and the Unilab is also part of the affiliated accelerator site. And in the second part of this year, we're going to kick off our national pre-accelerator program for dual-use and defense innovators. And so the system, another system is the other way around, like it's demand-driven. What Infineon is all about, it's basically where you have certain demand on the industry side, and you are able this way to attract the innovators. And it's basically also that Diana is built on challenge calls. So basically, you have certain challenges on the other side of the table, so to say, and the innovators are, for them, it's sort of an easy task. They don't have to discover the product market fit. They have it on the table from day one. So this is, I think, the other system that seems to be working quite well to connect the early innovators and the industry. So this.
Great, Andreas. I got a question. Would you be open to become the Unilabs entrepreneur in residence to open the doors to Infineon?
Of course. I mean,
there you go.
it's with pleasure. Let's discuss the details. But I think that's a very good recipe, because we also see it that as part of our program, we also bring the young entrepreneurs together with our business organizations and with our sales team, so that they can get feedback from the market, that they can learn what is possible, what is available, and either with advisors or with access to the sales network. That is the way to do that. Yeah.
Amazing. And Raivis, you represent both the kind of R&D department and Big Vector from Tilde, but at the same time, it's a private corporation as well. Would you say you see the potential benefits or existing benefits of getting Latvian startups or international startups to join you on your kind of a development pipeline or roadmap?
Yeah.
Is it happening, or are you kind of a more risk-averse in that sense?
So we are a local company, and probably in very, very different scale if we compare us.
I mean, every company is in very different scale in comparison to certain.
Infineon or CERN. But of course, we are also working with any startups who are approaching us, interested in cooperation. And here we are also working with all kind of potential users who are very interested in AI technologies. We are working with these technologies, and here we kind of rely on even on Latvian funding programs like the Try Before Invest. So where people who see benefit of AI can approach us. We can work together to form the project and try whether it really works for them.
Yeah, but did it happen already?
Yeah. It's
any
ongoing.
bad examples? Anything that failed miserably? Because I mean, we can learn from good examples. We can learn from bad examples as well, right? Anything you could share that we could see as a bad case of startup?
I think we can always find some solution where to move forward. So of course, sometimes startups and even experienced companies come with very fantastic idea, but that might not be real today. We might need some years to move these technologies out of science fiction. But we can always look for technologies that deliver a little bit less, but still useful results. So, and that's cooperation, where we work with startups and companies to understand what's possible today and what will be possible in the future. So separating science fiction from reality.
I think in CERN, science fiction becomes reality in that sense, right? CERN makes a reality out of the science fiction. Would you say you have within the Venture Connect, CERN Venture Connect program, is there a kind of a queue of startups joining? Because I mean, what you presented is a humongous amount of information, data, and knowledge. Do you actually have to cancel someone out because of the demand, or you are in a proactive search for new potential cooperation between startups? How does it work? How does the situation look?
Yeah, we're always looking for interesting startups, of course, that we can support with our technologies. we had, I think, around 40 applications last year, and we took in 5 startups.
Okay.
And that is because our technologies are very extreme, as you could see in the presentation. So we are very good at very cool things, very small things, very big things, very high vacuum. So it's very niche, and not every startup needs that cutting-edge technologies, right? When we talk about big data means maybe something else for us than for a startup. So we always have to see, is there actually a technology match that makes sense, that we can then also endorse the startup from CERN side? Because what we don't want is that startups join because it's a nice name to have,
Because
CERN.
it's cool.
But yeah, exactly. But we don't actually are able to support them with the technologies, and they're actually finding use. So that's always important. And I think one point is also that I didn't mention in the presentation. We have a lot of different technologies, as I showed, but in order to optimize for time for the startups, we have a portfolio of 7 technologies where we can really very quickly get the technical expert support and also have a quick license, and they're relatively high in technology readiness level. So we don't have to first develop them, like takes maybe a year or so. No, we can license them out very, very quickly, which is great. And these are laser systems, cooling devices, also software, so very diverse, but we try to limit it so it's not too overwhelming for startups.
Sure. But are we speaking only about startups? Does Tilde LLC or LMT has the potential to get not only in a cool collaboration with CERN just because of the name, but in a practical sense, or is it just exclusively for startups?
No, so we are, I'm part of the technology transfer office at CERN, where we do big collaborations with bigger companies, of course. That's kind of our core activity. But then we saw that this doesn't really work well for startups, and startups have a different potential that we also like to leverage. They're much more fast. They can execute faster, they're much more agile. And so we wanted to also tap into that, which is why we built the program 2 years ago. But we have technology transfer activities with a lot of bigger companies as well.
I see. Very well. So after the panel discussion, maybe,
Yeah.
Let's have a chat.
we might happen. Yeah.
We have been there. We
been to
have been
CERN?
working with CERN before, so yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
It's-
Wow. I didn't know that. But that's a great match on the stage.
Yes.
Awesome. Amazing. What I want to explore and to provide the value for our audience as well, both online and offline, is actually getting the experience from the Unilab and from the startups that got into the corporations, got into the, let's say, pilot projects or any kind of a use cases with corporates. Any learning outcomes out of that from your experience, what the corporations like Tilde, LMT, Infineon could or should focus on in order to, not become the limit or a barrier for startups' growth, and then at the same time we can turn it from the Infineon's part, because I believe this is not the only and not the first program where you collaborate with startups. So obviously there are different kind of success rates from the collaboration that we can learn, and the startups can implement that in their kind of a mindset. Andris, could you share any specific learnings takes from the startup experience in collaboration with big or not so big corporations? Does it matter that much?
I believe that
Or is everything okay? Is everything very good, and we can just enjoy like the company in here? And
this is it's a relevant question, but there are 2 parts of it. The one is having the concept, and as we just discussed, a recipe for how the model should look like, and the other part is always the execution of it and how the practicalities work. And so I believe there are tasks on both sides of the partnership. So on the first side, on our side, like on the incubators, accelerators, like transferring technologies from university side, it's about basically maturing the team to at least have a potential to become a company at one day, because I mean these are super early stage teams, and at that point they're actually only teams, and they do not incorporate. And this is a struggle, for example, what we do. So basically, early on, the teams, especially from research organizations and universities, they are very focused on their technologies and building something, but they're they don't focus on sales and everything on that part. And then this is about working with the industry. It's about translating your prototype into a sales pitch, which there's a huge gap in between. And also there's a huge gap in between the team and the startup. The team of innovators, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's already a co-founding team being able to incorporate and go to market. So this is on the one side. However, on the other side, on the industry side, what I've seen that there's and I'm not sure what's the solution to that. And there's somewhere a line how the relationship is built. Either it's built on B2B grounds, or it's basically at one point hiring the innovators. And this is somewhere where I'm not sure what would be, because I mean, obviously at one point the ideal model of I don't know, piloting the technologies or using the facilities of industry to test the technologies, to mature them, and doing all these things. I'm not sure what would be the best way, how to still put it on a track that it's a new business emerging, not an outsourced R&D team.
Sure.
It might be hired at one day. So this
is not bad as well, right?
I mean, it depends how you look at it, and either creating a new venture or just extending the pay bill of a company. That's the difference, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is what I would say where the challenge I've seen.
I see. Andreas, you've heard what Andres mentioned and how he kind of described the teams that they have, not even startups, but the teams. Would you say they are too early to apply for the Edge AI program, or like how mature do they have to be, and why you're looking for more mature startups if you are?
We are really starting in a very early stage. Mm-hmm. I mean, typically the process for us works like this, where we say, first of all, we have defined areas. We call it hunting zones or topics of interest, where we are looking for startups in that areas, working in that areas. Mm-hmm. When we now identify these startups and say, hey, these are startups, or these are ideas, or these are spin-offs from universities, which are fitting to our topics of interest, then my next task is to connect it to our business organization and say, look, they have this offering, they have this solution. Is this interesting for you within the company? And if there's a yes, then it comes very much to the next stage where you say, let's do a pilot together, a pilot project. And here it comes very well also in your statement, Andres, because in this pilot project, we also want to see, as Raivis before said, we even want to see the science fiction stuff and the science fiction ideas. But in the pilot project, we would like to see if this science fiction idea can be realized, if there is a result in a certain amount of time. The pilots run for 3 months or 6 months, something like this, and if there is a result achievable. And if you say, hey, this is a cool team in the startup, which really can, within 6 months, show us a first result of their idea, and they can show us in a first project to really reach a goal, then that's the perfect relation to say they know our business organization, they are connected, they have shown and demonstrated a first result, and that's the basis then for a longer-term cooperation with the startup.
But how often do you hear yes? What you mentioned, you look into the hunting zones, you find a solution, you find a team, and then you bring it the potential solution to your internal team, looking for the yes, we want to test it. How often do you hear it?
I think as we have defined the topics of interest or the hunting zones before, the rate I would say is 50% or something like this, where because we are already pre-selecting, we're showing to the business organizations already. I present them already something which could be interesting for them. Therefore, the success rate then is higher, and that's part of my job. On the one hand, to identify the talent, to connect it, to see that it fits to us, and then to connect it to the right organizations and to the right experts.
Right, but What kind of objective is it from the Infineon perspective? Is it a PR objective? Is it a business objective? Is it a tech leadership objective? Or is it some of it? Why do you do that? Why?
We do it under several aspects.
Right.
Topic number one, they have a cool idea and application, want to use our components. At the end, they will be our customers. So they will use our components and will be the unicorn and will use our Infineon components and chips for that. Topic number two, they have cool software algorithms. We have the hardware. We go to the market together as partners. And we go to other customers as partners and build here a bundle.
Yeah.
Topic number three, they have technology that is interesting for us to be integrated into our products. Then either we do an IP deal, we license the technology from them, or we, instead of licensing, do an M&A and bring the startup on board and insource it. The only thing that we not do is to say, well, just as topic of financial interest, we are investing into the startup with the chance that we get then earnings back in money after 10 years by an exit. That we are not doing. But we try to build our customers, our partners, or our IP deliveries, which then end up as M&As.
I see. But for CERN, it's completely different objectives, isn't it? Could you share as well how does it fit? Are there business objectives for CERN? I don't think so, but...
Well, CERN has a special status, right? It's an intergovernmental organization, similar like the UN, and we're paid by taxpayers, by member states.
Yeah.
We have 24 member states and 10 associate member states, and Latvia is one of the associated member states.
Hopefully we'll become a full member someday.
Yes, exactly. And our mandate is to give back to those member states, not only in terms of reaching new research results or finding new Higgs bosons, but really also the technology that we are having to develop ourselves. We cannot buy an accelerator complex of 27 kilometers off the shelf.
No.
There is no supermarket for that, right? So we have to develop it ourselves, and that's taxpayers' money, right? So our mandate is to disseminate those technologies, again, to industry, so it can help to develop some things that maybe industrial partners don't do because it's very specific, very niche, and very extreme. And that's why we do this.
I see, but do you have any KPIs? Is it just an amount of startups that kind of went through the program, or any value created for the society afterwards? How do you measure the success?
Yeah. I think impact can be measured in many different ways. For us, it's not only the number of startups that we are enrolling in the program, but it's also the survival rate of those, right? We can have 20 startups in our pipeline, and then all of them are gone within a week. So, of course, we want them to survive. That's why we build our partner network. That's why we have VCs in our partner network. That's why we do events. So the startups can very early on get in contact with industrial players, because a lot of deep tech startup founders, they are scientists, right? And they don't necessarily go to the business world, and it's not like a very common thing to do. They're very much about their scientific technology part that you mentioned before, and we want to enable to close the gap and them being able to jump over that hurdle quickly. That's the idea.
I see, very well. Raivis, you heard Infineon's and CERN's objectives in terms of collaborating, partnering up with the startups, business partner, client creation objectives. Does Tilde have anything similar to that, or like how do you see startups in the sense of
I'm thinking about another aspect. So early testers of technologies, early adapters of technologies, and they by communicating with startups and some people who have fantastic ideas about AI technology, how can they use, we really get fast feedback from them. So they try our technology in ways we didn't imagine somebody will be testing it. And this early feedback from early adapters, it's really useful for companies who are developing technology.
And is there, I'm sorry for my misinformation, or I don't know, do you have a Tilde community of developers or something like that? How do you get this feedback from the early adopters?
Yeah, we work with some.
Is it Reddit? Reddit?
The ecosystem is not as well established in big companies, but of course we work together with companies who are looking for new things, with startups, with some bright ideas, with students from universities. Yeah, that's.
And you mentioned universities. Does Tilde work with any university in Latvia or any internationals? How this bridge is built?
So we do not have too much international students, but yeah, we work pretty much with all universities in Latvia. Yeah,
very well.
Some collaboration. Yeah.
Amazing. What I made notes, the client creation, partner creation, the IP, the faster feedback, the dissemination of value to the citizens. So those are kind of the value, might be a value map under which the startup can kind of fix and fine-tune their pitch in order to get into the corporate or the company or the science organization. Andres, is this how you train your teams in the sense of value proposition development for those conversations, or am I being too kind of far from their status in that sense? Because sorry for my kind of I didn't know that they're not yet kind of incorporated startups. I thought they are already kind of being built within the Unilab. Is this something you focus on?
Yeah. To clarify.
Yeah, too many questions. I'm sorry. I was just
already forgot the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
To clarify, yes, this is what actually we do. We transform the team into a corporate, like to become it in an incorporated company. So this is like we close the gap between the team of innovators that are associated one or the other way with the universities. We convert that team into a startup actual, and there is a certain, obviously, success rate how you can do that. I mean, we had around 50–60% of those teams which we on board. So this is about the stage where we put ourselves. That's about the university innovators. And so, yes, I mean, putting all those elements together, this is, I mean, not only about each of our functions which we execute, it's about how we build the local and cross-border ecosystems. And for example, just mentioning, like, for example, Infineon is cooperating with Brigio. However, we are in close friendship with Brigio as well. I mean, we have shared a few events together, and hopefully with CERN as well, we will establish some kind of a partnership which was previously discussed. And yeah, so I mean, basically these are the elements which you need. So but however, what we need to do in order for this to work, and there's another initiative. It's called. We have an innovation fund. It was just recently established. It's called BioPhot, which actually supports very early stage researchers that are doing research in like TRL2 level, and they think there is a market application for the research. So what we need to do is what we see at that early stages, they are without doing anything, without incubating or accelerating them, they are not able to talk with the industry. So what we need, first of all, we need to train them to speak the sales language, how to move away from tech focus on value proposition focus, which is a totally different mindset. Absolutely, it's a hard job to do. So this is one. But the other, for all those elements to work and for them to be beneficial to those early innovators, is about completing the teams of the innovators. What you mentioned as well, there are mostly researchers or engineers within the teams. So for example, what we see in the BioPhot, which is a super early support for the technologies coming out of the laboratories, we need to integrate into those teams business developers who can actually translate the research into a business opportunity to all of those partners which are sitting here and to the others as well. And so this is, I mean, the missing piece of puzzle, and this is the most challenging because there is a human factor, the team completeness and everything. It's like so soft skills needed to complement the team and bring into the researchers' teams the business capability, the power of that, which is critically needed in order to translate the invention into a saleable product and explain what's the value in it for you, because the value drivers are totally different, and the team needs to understand those. And then you need somebody with a business mindset or entrepreneurial mindset then to deliver that.
Right.
And in a way that, as we are a very small ecosystem, and we're super agile in that, because we have an ecosystem where engineers can pitch super nicely. We have scientists that can prototype. Like we have all in one in those, and this is, I mean, the pro and con in one set for a small economy as we have. I mean, in other cases it would be a challenge. For example, to put an engineer on a stage and make it ready to pitch. We can do that.
Amazing. One learning outcome from my side as well, working at LMT and speaking with the startups as well. I believe that kind of one of the big aspects of value creation for startups is fast feedback from the corporation to the startup back as well. Because, I mean, not usually, I try to reply fast to the emails and to the calls, but at some point, you know, this is not a priority, not a top priority. And then there's some, you know, majorly important things, and then the startup is just waiting in the pipeline for some kind of feedback for a month, and then they should move even without the feedback, but in a sense, they want to hear the feedback. So what I found out is that even negative, kind of a negative let's call it constructive feedback, fast and maybe not that well thought through, but in a fast manner, creates major value for them, not to kind of get passive and kind of isolated and stopped in one place.
Yeah. I have actually a story about this. We had 2 alumni from CERN giving a talk at CERN about how they started their own businesses. And it was, I think, this week on Tuesday or so, they came and there were a lot of people at CERN super interested in how do you go from CERN to entrepreneurship. Right. And one of them said that in the beginning, he was so perfectionistic, so he wanted to have everything perfect. He was sitting in his lab for 6 months straight, building the perfect product, and then he went out and said, hey, this is the perfect product that I have for you now. And they said, this is not really what we want. Like, the technology is great, but it's just not adapted to the user and the customer. And he was like, he's never going to do the same mistake again. He lost a lot of, you know, time developing something that, you know, there is no market for. So I think this is very critical, like really fast feedback.
Exactly. Does it work the same in Infineon? Do you give the no? If there is a yes, there is a yes, and if there is a no, do you kind of communicate that in a fast manner to the startups within your program?
Yes, definitely. We try really to speed up here and try to connect here as quickly as possible so that they can get this feedback and they can get this in a rather fast way. It's also, of course, one of my roles to translate between a large company which typically ticks a bit slower because of all the tasks, and an agile startup which is much faster, and to bring these two cultures a bit together and to synchronize or try to synchronize.
This is of vital importance, I believe. This in science, there is science communication. In this, I don't know how corporate startup communication in the sense, so it is kind of in a tempo, but still in a qualitative manner. Any takes from your experience how this should be for us, for Tilde, for LMT, like what is the main takeaway out of your experience in being this translator from the corporate to the startup? Anything of value that we can integrate into the Latvian ecosystem?
I think it takes a lot of good and strong communication, explanation skills also to simply on the one hand, this example fits very well. So when you're in a large company, you work according to processes, you follow the rules, you're following the steps. Then our colleagues are puzzled. How can they decide so quickly? How can they change the route so quickly? How can they do something different?
Right.
So to explain that, to translate this, to make the people aware, this is a part of the role. On the other hand, it is also a very good exercise for engineers in a large corporation to see, well, okay, I do not have to do all the time everything exact according to the rule, weight, and so on. So it also gives then a feedback to the large corporation. Things could be done a bit more flexible, a bit more easy, a bit more faster, which is also a helpful exercise. So the learning goes in both directions.
Right.
Yeah.
On the one hand, the startups see, okay, how these large companies work and act. On the other hand, the large companies realize, oh, solutions can be found in a flexible and easier way. And combining this brings a win-win to both parties.
Amazing, amazing.
In the
Sure.
beginning, you asked, give us example where you failed. So exactly as you told, there are startups and companies are working in different speeds. Startups today are well accelerated, and they approach company. You have 15 minutes to talk with them. If you do not respond, they are gone.
Right.
and that happens from time to time. Yeah.
Because what we do at Accelerate is we learn, we teach them to create CRMs with a long list with potential clients and partners to approach. So basically, if the first doesn't work, then it goes to the second one.
Volume.
Yeah, you have a couple of months, you just validate the idea, and that's it. Yeah. So actually, the corporations maybe, in a sense, need to catch up with the speed in that sense.
Yeah. It is hectic and challenging to catch up. Yeah. But already, Raivis, Andres, Lynn, Andres, thanks a lot. Thanks to you, we explored the mechanisms already, how these startups and other brilliant minds could tap into the large semiconductor leader, the International Science Organization. We explored that many things are happening here and locally as well, in Latvia, in that sense. But what we touched upon, and what I am suggesting all the audience and us as well, after the presentation, after the rest of the presentations, to meet for an extra lunch, a later lunch, or a coffee, to explore the pain points and the values and how we merge them from the startup's perspective and from the perspective of the organization. So the expectations are managed. So the startups are pitching the exact value of the corporation that it wants to acquire or generate, and to make sure that we are kind of in the same speed, more or less. But I believe this is a nice beginning for the further conversation and collaboration. And I'm asking the audience, please give a round of applause to our today's member of the panel discussion. And Artis, back to you.
And a round of applause for the excellent work. Nikita, you did it again. Thank you very much. A round of applause to the whole panel.
Please.